Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to give you 7 tips on how to become a better metal guitar player. Alright guys, before we get started, make sure you're subscribed to my channel and ding the little bell. Now, these 7 tips that we're going to talk about today, they're not going to be the standard stuff that you already know. Like, I'm not just going to tell you, hey, just practice more, you'll get better. Of course, practice is very important, and we're going to dive into that, but we're going to go extremely deep, and I'm going to give you guys some things you can put into action right away, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So, this first tip that we're going to talk about is get your head in the right place. I should say get your metal head in the right place, but no, really guys, this is the first and probably the most important tip, although they're all kind of equally important here. But no, get your head in the right place, and what I mean by that, so two things we're going to eliminate first. This is going to help us get our head in the right place. One is eliminate your cell phone during practice time. Seriously, put that thing away or put it on silent, do not disturb, whatever. A quick story here. You know, I go to the gym early mornings, as you guys know. I train like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. There's one person in the gym, though, they'll do a set of bench press, and then they'll sit there for 10 minutes looking at their phone, and I'm like, how do you get anything done? So don't let that happen to you during guitar practice time. Put that thing away. Or if you practice in your studio, because a lot of us use plugins, you know, if you're practicing in a place like this, make sure you don't have any notifications popping up on your computer. So that's one. Eliminate any kind of electronic distraction, or really any distraction. Number 2, I want you to eliminate any negative thoughts. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, well, Jason, you know, I'm pissed off today, I'm angry today, I'm gonna like take it out on my music, you know, I'm gonna write some cool lyrics. That's fine, but what I mean by that is get rid of any thoughts of negativity, like about yourself, or if there's any kind of drama going on in life, or, you know, if you're thinking about your job or somebody, you know, pissed you off or whatever, you know, get rid of that negativity in your mind, kind of cleanse your mind. Now, a few things that I do to get my head in the right place, just doing those 2 things right there will help, right, tremendously. But take it a step further, what I do, and this is stuff I used to laugh at, I actually will spend a little bit of time, just 2 or 3 minutes, meditating. You know, it's almost like we're metal monks. But no, I'm not saying like go out there and like, you know, sit in silence for an hour every time before you practice guitar. Who has time for that? What I'm saying is just, you know, allow yourself to clear your mind, right? Clear your mind of any negativity, any negative thoughts, and just clear your head and get ready to play guitar, because this is your craft. This is the most important thing to you in this given time period. Sometimes I'll even do some yoga. So get your head in the right place. That is tip number 1. Tip number 2 is schedule focused practice sessions, okay? Schedule focused guitar practice sessions. So there's 2 parts to this, as you can see. The scheduling part, this is something us musicians and guitar players, we like to shy away from. And look, I fight this every day, even now. We're creative. We don't need a schedule. We don't need a structure. We're just gonna do what we want and create stuff, create good music, and, you know, book them, they will come type thing. For the most part, I have found that if you don't put it on the schedule, it's probably not gonna happen, okay? So we have cell phones. This is a time you can use your cell phone to put it in the calendar so that you get like an alert, you know, 10 minutes before you're supposed to practice. Then put your phone away, of course, and then go practice. But that's so easy to do. Just schedule it. Now, I also use the old school pen and paper. You know, my wife bought me a calendar, and I have it on my desk. Our dining room table is actually our work desk now. But, you know, we got a big calendar, and I actually write stuff down and highlight it. So that's another way you can keep up with that. But the important note here is just to schedule that practice time, you know, so that nothing else is going to get in the way of that. Now, the second piece to that is it needs to be a focused practice time. I don't want you guys just going in there and saying, okay, well, I'm going to go practice. Then you pick up your guitar and you just start noodling. You know, you just start kind of jamming. There's a time and place for that as well. But when you sit down to practice, and we're talking about scheduling focused practice sessions, when you sit down to practice, I want you guys to have some kind of format, you know, some kind of like technique that you're wanting to get better at. And I'll give you an example, and actually this is on the blog post. I'll put the blog post in the YouTube description. I have a sample focused guitar practice schedule for you there. But an example is, let's say Monday, you've got some time in the morning. So 6:30, and this is just an example, 6:30 to 6:45 a.m. Just 15 minutes, but that 15 minutes, schedule sweep picking or tapping or whatever you want to practice. And then there's another time scheduled late that afternoon, 7 to 7:30 p.m., and that's for playing, in my example here, is downstroke rhythms. You're going to get better at playing downstroke rhythms. So you've got those times scheduled, and you know exactly what you're going to practice during that time. So number 2, schedule focused guitar practice sessions. Number 3, don't just learn other people's songs. Now, this one I'm probably going to get a little bit of backlash on, and that's okay. Let me explain myself, because when I first started playing, I, like all of us, we learn other people's songs. That's how we start out. What I'm saying to you though is, don't let that be it. Don't let that be where it stops. You can play a riff that somebody else wrote, but what I want you guys to start doing is I want you to not only play that riff, I want you to expand on it. I want you to think, well, okay, here's the riff. But what if I played it a little bit differently? What if I added a note to it? What if I simplified it and took away some notes? How would that sound? Play around with that, or maybe play it at a different place on the fretboard. That's another good way to just kind of expand your skills there as a guitar player. But yeah, don't just learn other people's songs, expand and start letting those creative juices kick in just by moving your fingers around to different places. And actually, I have another video on how to write metal riffs. Now, this is called How to Write Metal Riffs on a 7-string guitar, but even if you don't have a 7-string, if you're just playing a 6-string, you can watch this video up here. I'll also include the video in the YouTube description because I want you to continue watching this one. But definitely check that video out. Whether you play a 6 or 7-string guitar, doesn't matter. The techniques and the tactics that I give you in that video is gonna help you. Number 4, get out of your comfort zone. We tend to have our own little comfort zones in the fretboard. So for example, because we're metal and we want to play the heaviest notes possible, which makes sense, our comfort zone is kind of around this area right here. Maybe we expand down here, but it's right here, and it's usually on those first, second, sometimes third string, because again, we're playing metal, we're playing heavy all the time. And if you're a lead player, because we're often playing in the same key, we may have a little comfort zone here, a little comfort zone here, or maybe down here a little bit. What I encourage you to do, and I'm preaching to myself here too, is get out of that comfort zone and start expanding and start playing in different places throughout the fretboard. One of the ways you can do that is like if you're playing one riff, let's say on the E and A string, and that note starts with an open E. Try playing that same riff. You can use the same strings, but try playing it a few notes up. Now your fingers are going to be forced to go in different positions in different areas than to what you were playing with it before on the open string, and that's going to be something that really helps you just kind of get out of that comfort zone. But yeah, play in different places. Start going to those uncomfortable, or I should say unfamiliar places on the fretboard, and start playing stuff there. And then just become proficient throughout the fretboard in different places. And guys, this is something I've talked about in prior videos. This helps you become not only a better metal guitar player, but a better musician overall, because you get to the point where you can just play almost anything and you just really learn your fretboard well that way. So number 4, get out of your comfort zone, but don't get out of the metal zone. And actually, I have another video on this topic as well, teaching you how to expand your riffs. Again, this video's based on 7-string, but even if you play a 6-string guitar, the tactics, the things I show you in the video is really going to help you. I'll put the link to that video in the description as well. Tip number 5, and this is probably going to be the most unique and interesting tip that I give you in this video, is freestyle play. Freestyle riffs and licks to other songs and other music. Now, this is what I mean by that, and I'm gonna take you way back to my childhood, to when I first started playing guitar around 1990-ish. So what I used to do is I would turn on the radio and then I'd crank up my amp, and I would just play along with whatever was playing on the radio. Sometimes I would play, like an 80s pop station, because, that was kind of like my other genre that I was really into besides metal. I would just put it on, whatever station though. And the cool thing about this is most songs are not played in the same key. These bands or these different songs that come on, they're in different keys. Like you might have one that's G, D, C, E minor, and then the next song that comes out, their guitars may be tuned different, or maybe it's a keyboard or piano based song, and most of those start in like E flat or B flat. So then you're like, wait a minute, where are these notes at on my guitar? But this is how I learned the fretboard, and this is the one thing that I feel like that took me from a beginner to very, very quickly becoming like intermediate advanced level. And I'm not boasting, guys. I sucked at a lot of things in life. I was just really adamant about focusing on practicing guitar in my younger years and even today. But no, with that being said, that's how I got to that level so quickly. Create a station based on one song, so that way they're gonna play different bands, different songs by different bands and all that, and just play along with it. Now, you don't actually have to learn the riffs because you're probably not gonna learn the rhythms right away. I mean, some of you might. But what I did was I just made up my own lead notes. Like I just played lead along with these songs. You know if you hit a wrong note, because like you can hear the song, the key it's in, so you're gonna know real quick. It's like, oh, that didn't sound too good. But just correct that mistake, right? Just keep playing until you start hitting notes that's in that progression that song is playing. And guys, this is, I'm telling you, this is like a magical way, the most magical way to become a better metal guitar player, or really just better guitarist overall. All right, guys, tip number 6 to becoming a better metal guitarist and overall musician. And this tip really is kind of gonna be generic, but hang in here with me. Lift weights and eat good. Okay, very, very basic. And this is kind of just like a life tip. Actually, most of these tips are really kind of life tips, so they can be translated into life tips. But no, guys, I'm not saying you have to become like a bodybuilder or powerlifter, although that's perfectly fine. I commend you for that, because you guys know I love lifting weights. It's just part of my life. But there's something about staying healthy that translates into being a better musician and better guitarist, because when you're healthy, you can focus. You've got the mental focus. You've got that capacity to focus on your practice times. You've got the longevity and the energy to extend your practice sessions to become really, really good. Okay, so lift weights, and again, you don't have to be a bodybuilder, but do some sort of resistance training. Do that at least 4 times a week. That's part of that. In fact, a lot of you know I'm the owner of a website and blog called themuscleprogram.com. I started that back in, I think, 2010 or 11. I'll post a link to a program. It's a free program that I have on that blog. I'll post that in the YouTube description as well, so you guys can go to that, and it'll just give you a very simple workout you can start, and that's just a good way just to get in that habit. Now, I lump this in the same, lift weights and eat well. The eating, now I'm not a dietitian, I'm not gonna pretend to be an expert, and I'll say this, there is no one-size-fits-all diet. Some people do keto, and it works great for them. Some people do plant-based, some people do this, that, whatever. I prefer you just to eat sensible, right? Don't overeat, and make sure you're exercising to burn those calories. And the 2 things that you can do that's really gonna help you no matter where you're at is, limit your amount of processed foods, and then limit the amount of sugar intake, especially refined sugars. So if you just do those basic things, that's gonna work really well for you, and you can kind of figure out the details from there. Okay, so definitely do that. Again, I'll leave the link to the workout program in the description of the YouTube video here, so you guys can go check that out. Tip number 7, don't compare yourself to other guitar players. Just be you. Focus on developing your own signature tone, your own signature sound. Don't worry about trying to sound like anyone else. Let me just say this, a lot of us musicians, and you can tell me in the comments if you can relate to this, a lot of us guitar players and musicians, some of us were kind of outcasts. Like, we didn't really feel like we fit in, especially in the metal community, okay? We didn't really fit in with the norm of society, and a lot of us had low self-esteem. And when you have a low self-esteem, and I'm not saying all of you have this, but I think a lot of you may be able to relate to this, especially when you're younger. But when you're kind of plagued with that, and then you compare yourself to others, sometimes you see others as better than you. So it's real easy to look on YouTube or look on Instagram or Facebook or any platform and see a guitar player just all over the place, just wailing, and then you start thinking, I'm never gonna be at that level. What I'm telling you is, don't worry about that person, be happy that person's great, that's awesome, but just understand that, you may never play exactly like that person is playing, but that's okay. Because the more time you put into your craft, the more you practice, you're going to develop your own signature style of playing guitar, and you're just going to sound like you. And you're going to get to that level, and some of you may be there already, you're going to get to that level to where, hey, I play guitar this way, and no one can replicate your signature sound and tone that you've created for yourself. So again, don't worry about other guitar players. Don't worry about when you're scrolling through Instagram or whatever, and you see somebody just, mad sweep arpeggios and they're just flawless. Don't let it get you down. I know some of you are thinking, well, Jason, I don't worry about that stuff, but I know a lot of people do. And if we're honest with ourselves, sometimes that kind of stuff can get to us. So, just be you and do the best you can and put in the time. I'm not saying don't put in the time. Practice as much as you possibly can, because at the end of the day, I told you in the beginning of this video, we're going to go deep beyond that, but at the end of the day, really, it's how much time you put into it, really how much focused time you put into your craft. That's how you become a better metal guitarist and guitarist overall. So guys, in a nutshell, let's just go through the 7 real quickly. So number 1, get your head in the right place. That's imperative. Do some deep breathing, meditate a little bit, just clear any negative thoughts, focus that time on you and your guitar. Number 2 was schedule focused practice sessions, right? Put it on the calendar. I don't care if you have to write it down or if it's in your phone. Put that on the calendar and also write down what you're going to practice during that time. Number 3, don't just learn other people's songs. Yes, that's how we start out playing. We have to learn other people's music, but quickly start expanding on that and start, going to different areas on the fretboard after you play those riffs and start developing your own riff writing capabilities. Number 4, get out of your comfort zone. Don't just hang around those comfortable places on the fretboard, right? Start playing in some of those unfamiliar places and really learn your fretboard. Number 5 is spend some time freestyle playing, Put on that radio station that's based on a song you like, or put it on a different genre altogether and just start playing along with that music. Start trying to pick out leads, solo patterns to every song, because these songs are going to be in different keys. So you're really going to expand your skills and really learn the fretboard way better doing the freestyle way of playing. I like freestyle because I used to freestyle BMX. I wasn't great, but hey, I had a lot of fun doing it. Number 6, lift weights and eat well. I'm not saying you have to have the perfect diet. You guys know I love craft beer, and I drink quite a bit of it, and most people say, well, that's not healthy. Now, I have rules in place for that, right? Do the 80-20 rule. If you're doing things right 80% of the time, you've got 20% flexibility there, unless you're just way out of shape and you just got to kick things into gear 100%. Do that until you get to where you need to be. But for the most part, follow the 80-20 rule, train about 4 days a week, and then just eat decent 80% of the time. You should be okay. And number 7, do not compare yourself to other guitar players. In fact, don't compare yourself to anybody. Just be you. Put in the time, put in the effort, and do the best that you can. Develop your own sound that's you, that no one else can replicate. That's the best thing you guys can do as a metal guitarist and musician. I know I talked about a few different links to other videos and other sources, so I will have all those in the YouTube description, so please don't forget to go check those out. Many of you have asked how you can support me and my music and my channel, and I appreciate you guys, I really do. I appreciate you thinking about me in that regard. Most of you know I have albums out there on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Go Play, on all the sources, practically all the sources out there. So when you listen to my music on those sources, or if you buy my digital album, that helps me out, of course. But I've got a link to my actual shop where I have the latest CD, the CD from my latest album, Masterpiece, and I've also got a lot of cool merch, t-shirts and mugs and stuff like that. So that helps me out as well, so that's the way you can support me. So go there and click on that link. You'll see my shop, a lot of cool stuff. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, please comment, put those in the comments. Or if you have any other tips you would like to share, because we are one big metal guitar playing community here and we support one another. That's what we should be doing. So if you have any helpful tips as well, please feel free to post those in the comments. Guys, until the next video, as always, keep it metal.